Hi friends, Caitlin here with Sass and Stitch Crochet, and today I'll be walking you through the baby milestone blanket pattern. This video is mostly to assist you through the techniques of this pattern. You'll be able to find more of the notes and information about the pattern in the free blog post and the paid PDF. Those are both linked in the description box below. I do have the color charts placed at the end of this video, so you can follow along in the video here, but you may find it easiest to learn the techniques here, then go back to the blog post or the PDF document to continue on with the pattern. I'm sharing the color charts available for free, but if you feel like you need the rows written out specifically to follow along easier, you can find those in the PDF version, which is available on Etsy and Ravelry. Again, both of those are linked in the description box below. Here's the list of materials needed. And here is the gauge and finished measurements. I do highly recommend testing gauge if you're planning to make the whole blanket, as you want to ensure the middle panel is large enough for your baby to lay on while you take their monthly photos. First, I will walk you through how to start each number block. Then I'll show you how to add in colors, change colors, then we'll add a border around each number block. Then at the end of the video, you'll find each color chart. You can go ahead and skip to the end to pick what number you want to do first, and then come back to the start of this video and we'll get started together. Okay, let's get started. We'll be starting with a slip knot. Insert your hook into the loop. And for numbers 0 through 9, we're going to start with 39 chains. For numbers 10 through 12, we'll be starting with 51 chains. So right now I'm going to work on number 9, so that means I'll be starting with 39 chains. To chain, you'll simply yarn over and pull that loop through the loop on your hook. That's one chain. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to go ahead and make my 39 chains and see, let's count real quick. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 so far. So I need a total of 39 chains. I'll just speed through this real quick. You can pause the video and press play again when you have your total number of chains. Okay. Now, everything in this pattern is single crochet. That's all we're doing here. So we're going to start in the second chain from the hook, insert, yarn over, pull through one loop on the hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops on the hook. That is a single crochet. Again, into the next stitch. So not the big hole, we're going to go into the one next to the big hole. That's into the next chain. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. If you're unfamiliar with single crochet, if you're new to crochet, I would suggest go ahead and look up a single crochet tutorial. This is not a single crochet tutorial, so if you need more than what I showed you here, then you can find another video for that. But we'll do single crochet in every stitch across your chain. So if you're working numbers 0 through 9, you'll have 38 single crochet. If you're working numbers 10 through 12, you'll have 50 single crochet. At the end of each row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Starting row 2, we're going to single crochet into every stitch across. All numbers will have the first 8 rows completely in your main color with single crochet. The color changes don't start until row 9 of every number. So I'm going to work right up until the first color change in row number 9, and I'll meet you back there. But first I'll show you how to read the charts when you're reading it later on. You'll find the row number you're on, so for example, row 9, and then you'll track the chart in the opposite direction of the row number on the side. Then when you're working the next row, row 10, you'll track those stitches all the way in the opposite direction. So you're going to be alternating which direction you're reading the chart for each row. So like I said, I'm going to be working right up until row 9, right here. This is where I'm going to continue on with the video. So whatever number you're on, work until right before the first color change. It doesn't matter what number you're going to work first. And I'll meet you back there. Okay, I have my first 8 rows done and part of my row number 9. Now my first pink stitch is going to go right here. So I have one more stitch in my main color to work. On the last stitch before color change, you're going to be doing something slightly different. You'll insert into the last stitch, yarn over and pull through 1, but don't finish the stitch. This is where we're going to be introducing our next color. But before we bring in our contrasting color, I need to teach you something about the wrong side and the right side of the work, because it matters which side you hold your yarn tails. All odd rows are the wrong side of the work. All even rows are going to be the right side of the work. So right now we're on row number 9, which means we are looking at the wrong side of the work. When we're looking at the wrong side, we need to pin our yarn towards us. The yarn is always going to stay on the wrong side of the work. This is the right side. We want to keep the right side very clean, no traveling tails shown. So the yarn is always going to stay on the wrong side. It just matters on whether you're looking at the wrong side or if the wrong side is facing away from you. So go ahead and grab your contrasting color and drape it on your crochet hook. It's going to be a little awkward, but just put it on there and pull that contrasting color through the 2 loops on your hook. Go ahead and tighten things up a little bit. Keep that tail pinned to your side, which is currently the wrong side. And we're going to continue single crocheting with our contrasting color. Now, I like to personally work over this tail of the contrasting color for just a couple stitches. This just helps keep this color change secure. So I'll just crochet over it while I'm doing some single crochet, and then I'll pin that tail to the wrong side. Now I can continue working in my contrasting color for as many stitches as I need to. You'll see that for number 9, row 9, I have 8 stitches in my contrasting color. So I'll keep working until I have 7 stitches, because the last stitch is where you're going to do your color change. So you'll insert, yarn over, pull through 1, but don't finish the stitch. You're going to pin your contrasting color tail to the wrong side. And now we're going to be introducing the main color again. Now we're going to have to use a new strand. If we were to use the same strand we used earlier, we'd have to pull it all the way across our work, and it would leave this open strand across the back of our work. Even though it's the back, we still want to keep it nice and clean looking as much as we can. So because of this, we're going to grab a new strand of our main color. We'll drape this on our hook with a little bit of tail left over to weave in later, and pull through the 2 stitches on our hook. Tighten things up a little bit. And you can continue working with your main color. Again, I like to crochet over the tail of any new strand I introduce just a couple of times, just to help secure everything. and then I'll just bring that tail to the wrong side. And I can continue working the rest of this row in my main color. So you'll notice that we are not traveling with any of our extra strands. We're leaving our strands right where we leave off with them. They're just going to stay put. So that way when we're working the next row and we're coming back to these sections, our strand is right there waiting for us and we don't have to do anything crazy or add any more new strands. So I'm going to continue finishing row 9, and I'll pick up again in row 10 right before we do our next set of color changes. Okay, so I'm working row 10, and just as a reminder, you can be working any number right now. The basic instructions are the same, even if the stitch counts and the charts are slightly different. Based on my chart, row 10, I need to start my pink 1 stitch over right here. So that means I have 1 more main color stitch left to work. I'll pause right before the end. And again, row 10, we're working on our right side of the work. This is the wrong side on the back. So we can leave our tails to the back of our work. We can pick up our contrasting color. And whenever we're shifting over a stitch or two, we have to be mindful of not pulling our new color too tight. See, we're shifting over a stitch. So when you're pulling through, you want to leave just a little bit of extra room here. You can tighten it back up again, but I always like to loosen it so I can control the tightness myself afterward. Tighten everything back up to be ready to crochet with your contrasting color. And again, for this row, I'm going to be doing 8 stitches. You'll see on the chart that the section of contrasting color ends 1 stitch before the previous row. We'll be working 7 of our contrasting color because on the 8th one, we do something slightly different and we do not complete the stitch all the way. So we'll insert, yarn over, and pull through 1. Leave our tail to the back. And we have a white tail here waiting for us. Again, we're shifting over a stitch. So we want to do that thing where we adjust the tightness just a little bit. Reconfigure yourself. And then continue on with the main color. I know it probably feels a little tricky to juggle all of the strands and the tension, but it will get easier with time. I'm going to continue out row 10 and I'll meet you back right before the color change for row 11. So we're looking at the wrong side of our work again. This is my, let's see, there's no shifting, so this is my last main color stitch. When you're looking at the wrong side of your work, remember you have to pin the tail to the wrong side. One way to remember is just look at the side that all of the tails are already on, and that's the side that you pin your current tail to. So we're looking at the wrong side. We're going to grab our contrasting color and yarn over, pull through to finish out the stitch. And we'll be working all the way across. Now for row 11, I have no shifting. I have the same amount of stitches as before, so I'm just working until the last pink stitch. And in the last one, I'll insert, yarn over, and pull through 1. Bring the tail to the wrong side. Grab my next main color tail. Yarn over and pull through to complete that stitch. And you'll see I didn't have to adjust the tension before I continued on. You'll have to do that for the first few times, but once you get more comfortable, you won't even have to really do it much. So you'll kind of see these little tails traveling up the wrong side of your work. That's totally normal. That's why we pin our tails to the wrong side, is so these little travels stay on the wrong side. And the right side of our work will stay completely clean. Okay, I finished out row 11 and I'm working on row 12 now, right before the color change. I'm doing another shift again, so I'll work my last stitch of my main color here. Don't complete it yet. This is we're looking at the right side of the work now, so you can pin your tails to the back of your work. Switch to your contrasting and continue on. This 9 has a shift on the other side as well, so I have one more left to work. Leave my tail to the back, grab my main color, yarn over to complete this stitch and pull through, and continue working to finish out row 12. So I hope this gives you the confidence to continue on and understand the right side versus the wrong side. Again, odd rows are the wrong side, even rows are the right side. So you'll see this is the wrong side on the back here. You'll see all the tails and all the little travels. And when you flip back to the right side, you'll see it's completely clean. That's what we want here. All right, I've skipped ahead a little bit. I'm going to show you now if you need to introduce a new section of color. Like on the 9, we have the main color circle in the middle of the 9. So we currently have our 3 strands for the main color, the contrasting color, and then the main color again. But to make that circle in the middle, we need a new strand of the main color, and then we'll need a new strand of the contrasting color. So we'll just have to add in a new strand. Now, if you don't have a new skein to work from, you can always find the center tail or the opposite side tail that you haven't worked with yet, and you can just work from both sides of the skein. It'll get a little messy, but it's manageable. So just like before, we'll just drape our new strand on our hook and pull through. And I like to work over that tail a couple stitches. And let's see, I'm working on my right side so I can leave all the tails to the back this time. Now I need to introduce a new strand of my contrasting color. Crochet over that tail a couple times again. And let's see, how far do I need to work? Okay. I'm not going to show you the stitch chart at the moment. I'm just showing you the concept of adding in new strands when you have new color sections. Okay, so now I can switch back to my main color. Now the reason we needed to add in new strands is because if we didn't, this strand would have had to stretch all the way over to cover this new white, and then it'd have to stretch all the way back over. So again, we don't want any of those loose strands on our work, or as very few as we possibly can. So that's why we have to add in new colors. Now I will show you one example where I do allow stretching a strand over on the wrong side. You see this row on the 9 here, we have just these 3 little stitches and then another little section of 2 of the main color. Don't fuss with adding new strands of yarn for that. I just stretch over because it's a little section, and because it is the back of the work, it's not really a big deal. It's more of a hassle to add in a new strand and cut it off and deal with all the extra yarn ends. Just cheat a little bit for sections like that where you just have one little section with 2 or 3 stitches of a stretch, as long as it's on the wrong side of the work. Okay, yep, so here I have 5 color sections. That means I have 5 strands or 5 skeins attached to my work at the same time. Go ahead and finish out the number block you're working on, and I'll pick up again at the end of this block where I'll show you how to put on the finishing border around every number block. Okay, so we're ending our last row, row 48, on the right side of the work, and now we're going to be adding a border to the 3 remaining sides, the sides and the bottom. Now, the final measurement of our work should be approximately a 10" by 10" square, which means all sides are 10 inches long. However, we have 38 stitches across in our rows, and we have 48 rows long, so there are more rows than stitches, even though we've made a square. This means that on the top and the bottom, we have 38 stitches across, so that means we also need to have 38 stitches on each of the sides going down. So this means that because we have 48 rows and we only need 38 stitches, we're going to have to skip some rows along the way. So it's a little bit of a trial and error, but I promise it's not too difficult. I'll walk you through it. So I'll show you where on the side of the rows that we'll be placing our stitches approximately. Again, it doesn't really matter, but here's where I show it. So at the end of our last row, we're going to chain 1 and turn to the side. Now there's 2 different locations that I like to put my stitches when working into the side of my work. You'll see here, you'll see these little V's in some locations. So there's another V here, another V here, they go all the way down the side. I like to work into those 2 loops of that V. So insert, yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, we're just doing all single crochet here. The other place I like to work into is this little hole right after it. So not this big hole. We like to work into the little holes. Complete a single crochet. And then we're back to that V looking location again. Insert into those 2 loops and do a single crochet. And here's this little hole again. I don't like working into big holes because it leaves bigger gaps in the work and it looks messy in my opinion. I like to find all the little places. Now again, there's 48 rows and we only need 38 stitches, so you're going to have to skip some along the way. So I've done about 5 so far, and it makes this nice clean edge. That's what we're going to be looking at rather than this raw edge. So again, occasionally you're going to have to skip a row or 2. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this little hole here. I'll skip that one and work into the next V. And then I might do a couple in a row, and then I'll skip one again. I really don't have a specific pattern. I just try to evenly space out the stitches that I skip. And by the end of this side of the work, I should have 38 stitches. So I'm going to keep working until the end, until I have 38 stitches. It might take you a couple times of trying it to get the right number, but you want to try to end as close to the corner as you can with 38 stitches. All right, I have 1 left to work here. At the end, you're going to chain 1 again and flip to the bottom. Now, because in our rows we have 38 stitches, we don't have to do anything crazy, no skipping. We just single crochet once into the bottom of each of these starting chains. So you'll see there's 2 strands. You want to go into both of those 2 strands. And we'll just simply work across the bottom of our row. When you get to the end, again, you're going to do a chain 1 and turn to the last remaining side that we haven't worked yet. Now this is going to be kind of similar to the first side. You're going to have to skip some stitches along the way. The locations are going to look slightly different on the other side, so I'll show you where I go. There's kind of these little V's They look a little different, but they're still there. We'll insert and complete a single crochet. And then you'll also have these little holes as well. Again, I always like to work into the little holes, not the big holes. There's another V-stitch there. And you'll continue working into the sides of these rows, skipping a few every now and then. And you should have about 38 stitches by the time you get back up to the top of the work. Alright, I've done the entire side. I'm at the end now. And at the very end, you'll chain one. Sorry for the camera, it keeps kind of focusing in and out. And you'll find the first stitch on the top of the work here. You'll insert, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So you'll insert into the stitch, yarn over, and pull through immediately both stitches on the hook. And then at that point, you can fasten off. You'll be using these methods to complete each of the numbers in this blanket, numbers 0 through 12. Now numbers 0 through 9 will be this square, while numbers 10 through 12 will be a slightly rectangular. This is due to the design of the blanket and spacing for the numbers. In just a moment, all of the number charts will play at the end of this video. You can find the number you're working on, pause it while you work on it, and then move on to the next one. Go ahead and make all of the numbers, and I'll meet you back in part 2 for the next steps of this pattern.